Floyd Mayweather signed contracts, secured millions up front from Netflix, and then stunned everyone by going on camera to claim that the biggest fight of 2026 was never real in the first place. Now, the same people who backed the deal, Netflix, the promoters and Manny Pacquiao's camp, are reportedly accusing him of breach of contract, with a firm deadline set for his response. What's driving this situation into full chaos is alleged footage of a heated confrontation between all sides. It has shaken fans and pushed the entire narrative into overdrive. The turning point came during what was supposed to be a routine public appearance. Mayweather walked into an MCM store inside the Forum Shops at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas for a meet and greet. Cameras were rolling, fans were locked in, but instead of promoting what was billed as the biggest rematch in boxing history, he dropped a shocking statement. He claimed the fight wasn't even real, calling it nothing more than an exhibition. In that moment, everything shifted. Just weeks before, Netflix had officially unveiled plans for a global mega-event, a professional rematch between Mayweather and Pacquiao, scheduled for September 19th at the Las Vegas Sphere. This wasn't presented as entertainment fluff, it was positioned as a sanctioned fight, one that would count toward both fighters' professional records. Netflix was making a serious move into elite boxing, building momentum from previous high-profile ventures and aiming to establish itself as a dominant force in live sports. Then, without warning, Mayweather publicly reframed the entire deal. From Pacquiao's side, there has been no cancellation. Their position is clear. Mayweather agreed to a professional fight and is now in direct breach of contract. But the real tension sits beneath the surface, the financials. Reports suggest Mayweather collected millions in advance payments tied specifically to a professional bout. Beyond that, he allegedly signed multiple agreements across different dates and parties, securing upfront money from each, including an advance tied to the Pacquiao rematch purse. Put simply, contracts were signed, money was paid, expectations were locked in, and then came a complete public reversal. That leaves one question hanging over everything: why? To grasp the scale of this situation, you have to go back to 2015. Mayweather and Pacquiao finally faced off in what became the most lucrative fight in boxing history. The numbers were enormous: millions of pay-per-view buys, a massive live gate, and over $600 million in total revenue. Mayweather won by unanimous decision in a highly technical, defense-first performance. Financially historic, but for many fans, deeply underwhelming. The anticipation had been massive, but the action didn't match it. That disappointment only grew when it emerged that Pacquiao had fought through a shoulder injury. Since that night, calls for a rematch never stopped. For more than a decade, it remained unfinished business until now. In early 2026, the boxing world was stunned by the announcement. Mayweather would return from retirement to face Pacquiao again in a professional fight. It felt like closure was finally coming. The second chance to settle everything. And now it's hanging by a thread. Netflix confirmed it would stream the event live from the Las Vegas Sphere as a professional bout, not an exhibition. This was meant to be fully sanctioned with real consequences. A loss would officially go on Mayweather's record. For the first time in his career, defeat wasn't theoretical, it was real. And Pacquiao made it clear he intended to be the one to deliver it. For the first time in over a decade, two icons were set to collide again with everything at stake. Mayweather's perfect 50-0 record, Pacquiao's legacy, and Netflix's push to cement itself as a powerhouse in live sports. Then Mayweather flipped the narrative in public. Behind the scenes, this wasn't a casual arrangement, it was a structured deal backed by detailed agreements and a clear paper trail. According to Pacquiao's side, Mayweather, he signed 3 separate agreements tied directly to his return to professional boxing. Each one carried financial compensation. Multiple contracts, multiple payments, all reinforcing the same reality: this was structured as a professional fight. And it went even further. Mayweather also accepted an advance against his purse for the Pacquiao rematch. In simple terms, he didn't just agree to fight. He committed financially on multiple levels, even drawing from projected earnings before the event had taken place. From Manny Pacquiao's side, the position is firm. They claim to hold extensive documentation to support their case, including signed contracts, digital verification records, and identifying data tied directly to Floyd Mayweather. From their perspective, there's no ambiguity, no misunderstanding, and no room to reinterpret the deal. Yet despite all of that, Mayweather went public and labeled the fight an exhibition. That contradiction now sits at the center of the crisis. Promoters have made their stance clear: this is not up for negotiation. The expectation is straightforward: honor the agreement. A formal deadline has already been issued, giving Mayweather a limited window to confirm his intent to proceed under the original terms and resolve the breach. The message is blunt. This event is bigger than any one fighter. Still, one question continues to echo across the sport. Why would someone sign multiple contracts, accept millions up front, and then attempt to redefine the entire event at the last moment? The answer may extend beyond the ring. While the fight drama played out publicly, a series of financial controversies began surfacing in the background. Reports have pointed to mounting financial pressure, ranging from leveraged assets to legal disputes, creating a situation that may have influenced Mayweather's sudden shift. He has strongly denied those claims and responded aggressively, even filing legal action against media outlets over alleged defamation. At the same time, Mayweather has launched major lawsuits of his own, signaling a broader pattern of escalating legal conflict. Taken together, it paints a complex picture. A historic fight, enormous financial stakes, growing legal pressure, and right in the middle of it, a sudden attempt to reshape the terms of the biggest boxing event of the year. The financial strain surrounding Floyd Mayweather isn't being framed as reckless spending, but something far more intricate. In a striking legal claim, Mayweather alleges that hundreds of millions of dollars from his career earnings were quietly diverted into third-party accounts by his former manager, Al Haymon. If true, it would suggest that a significant portion of the more than $1 billion he generated inside the ring never actually reached him. That claim forms the foundation of a massive lawsuit he filed against Showtime Networks and executive Steven Espinoza, seeking over $340 million in damages tied to lost fight revenue. But while Mayweather was going on the offensive legally, pressure was mounting from the other side. He has been hit with multiple lawsuits in recent months. One case centers on nearly $338,000 in alleged unpaid rent for a luxury Manhattan duplex at the Baccarat Hotel and Residences, an apartment reportedly costing around $100,000 per month. According to one property owner, payments had been missed for months, and Mayweather himself allegedly appeared unaware of how far behind things had fallen. Then came the jewelry disputes. One company claims Mayweather left with luxury watches and gold chains worth approximately $1.675 million without paying. Another jeweler filed suit over an alleged unpaid settlement tied to nearly $3.9 million in high-end pieces. And then a familiar name re-entered the picture, Logan Paul. Speaking publicly, Paul claimed that Mayweather still owes him $1.5 million from their 2021 exhibition bout. According to Paul, Mayweather pre-sold fight rights overseas using his name and likeness, with an agreement that entitled him to 15% of the deal. That payment, Paul says, never arrived. Legal trouble didn't stop there. A private aviation company soon entered the picture, filing a lawsuit over an alleged unpaid charter arrangement. The claim centers on a 2025 jet service, with accusations that Floyd Mayweather and his associates failed to cover the agreed costs. Then came the most serious escalation, the IRS. In March 2026, the Internal Revenue Service filed a federal tax lien against Mayweather in Nevada, totaling $7.3 million in unpaid taxes from prior years. That move effectively gives the government a legal claim over his properties and assets until the debt is settled. And this isn't unfamiliar territory. After his 2015 mega fight with Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather faced a staggering $22.2 million tax bill. At the time, his legal team argued that while his wealth was substantial, much of it was tied up in illiquid assets. They assured authorities the balance would be cleared once a major payday arrived. That payday ultimately came in the form of his blockbuster clash with Conor McGregor. The pattern is difficult to ignore. Massive earnings, mounting obligations, then another fight positioned to restore liquidity. And now, with the biggest rematch of 2026 hanging in the balance, that same cycle appears to be repeating. For years, Floyd Mayweather followed a consistent financial rhythm, used fight purses to settle debts. Payments often came only after liens were filed. His team repeatedly pointed to illiquid wealth, real estate holdings, long-term investments, and high-value luxury assets. Despite earning over $1 billion, extensions were frequently sought until the next major payday arrived. Now the pressure has stacked up all at once. A $7.3 million tax debt, lawsuits from jewelers, unpaid rent in Manhattan, a $1.5 million claim from Logan Paul, a private jet dispute, and a major legal battle with Showtime Networks. Against that backdrop, Mayweather had 3 fights lined up, each one critical. An exhibition with Mike Tyson, a summer bout, and the blockbuster rematch with Manny Pacquiao. This wasn't just about income anymore, it was about liquidity, timing, and financial relief. But here's where the conflict sharpens. Mayweather built his entire career on control, controlling opponents, negotiations, venues, and timing. That formula produced a perfect 50-0 record and one of the most lucrative careers in boxing history. This time that control is slipping. Reframing the fight as an exhibition protects the one number that defines his legacy, the 0. A professional loss, especially to a 47-year-old Pacquiao, the same opponent he already defeated, would send shockwaves through his legacy. Not just financially but historically. Every debate about his greatness would reopen. Every critic would have ammunition. From Pacquiao's side, the interpretation is blunt. If fear was a factor, it should have been raised before any contracts were signed. But that's the issue. Mayweather can't simply walk away. He signed multiple agreements. He accepted the money. He spent the advance. The one thing he can't control now is the agreement he already locked himself into. That puts him at real risk of breach of contract, potentially forcing Netflix to cancel what was supposed to be the biggest fight of 2026 altogether. And that's exactly what Manny Pacquiao is trying to prevent. Pacquiao remains confident the rematch will still happen. He's pointed directly to the signed contracts and the fact that both fighters have already received advance payments. From his perspective, the deal is real, the fight is real, and the stage is already set. After hearing Mayweather publicly call it an exhibition, Pacquiao immediately sought clarification from his team. Their response was clear. The agreement is for a legitimate professional bout, no ambiguity. Now both sides are locked in discussions, attempting to salvage what could still become one of the biggest events in boxing history. And it all circles back to one central question. Why take the money, and then try to change the deal? The answer sits at the intersection of three forces: money, pressure, and legacy. Financially, the urgency is obvious. The obligations are immediate and growing. But legacy may carry even more weight. Because beyond the millions, beyond the contracts, and beyond the chaos, there's still one number that defines everything for Floyd Mayweather: 0. And right now, that 0 is under more pressure than ever before. The financial strain surrounding Floyd Mayweather isn't just headline material, it's structural. His lifestyle is built around private aviation, a rotating collection of supercars and multiple luxury estates, all of which require constant liquidity. Reports suggest he has already begun offloading major assets, including high-profile properties in Beverly Hills and Miami, along with his personal aircraft. At the same time, the competitive reality can't be ignored. At 49 years old, after nearly a decade away from professional boxing, stepping into a sanctioned bout against a driven Manny Pacquiao, with a permanent loss on the line, is a serious gamble. For a fighter whose identity is built on perfection, that risk cuts deeper than money. Publicly, Mayweather has tried to downplay the situation, framing his return as casual, entertainment, exhibitions, staying active. But that narrative doesn't align with the facts. 3 signed contracts, millions in advance payments, $7.3 million tax lien, ongoing legal disputes over rent, jewelry, aviation services, and even a lingering dispute tied to Logan Paul. Claim from Logan Paul. That doesn't read like the profile of someone simply fighting for entertainment. It reads like someone operating under financial pressure, trying to maximize the biggest possible payday while avoiding the one outcome he has always built his identity around: a loss. From the opposing side, confidence hasn't wavered. Pacquiao's camp maintains the position that the deal is legitimate, the contracts are enforceable, and the fight will proceed as planned. Netflix, meanwhile, has already committed significant resources, treating the event as a central pillar in its expansion into global live sports. Yet despite all of that, everything remains suspended in uncertainty. Because contracts can be signed, payments can be issued, and announcements can be made, but none of it holds if one party refuses to execute the agreement as written. So the situation has now shifted away from promotion and spectacle, and into a legal standoff. Lawyers take over where promoters leave off. No public resolution. No final agreement. Just pressure building on all sides, locked into paperwork, obligations, and escalating consequences. And that leaves one final, uncomfortable possibility. The man who went 21 years without a single professional defeat may not end up facing his first loss inside the ring. It could happen in courtrooms, through rulings, penalties, and enforcement actions. And if it does, the perfect 50-0 record, once the defining pillar of Floyd Mayweather's legacy, may not be what people remember most.